We trust them with our bodies, our health, our lives. But what do we really know about our doctors?
And nobody wants to believe their doctor would do anything bad, right?
They don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that.
Can we be sure that the bad ones
I went home feeling very violated.
will be held accountable?
How can you kill somebody and then go practice still?
Our research uncovered more than 100 cases where doctors were investigated for serious misconduct, but the public has no easy way to learn the details, allowing physicians who harmed or abused their patients to continue practicing.
You kidding me?
It's frightening.
Should this doctor be practicing medicine?
No.
At the top, it's the medical profession that are allowing this to happen.
It's a nationwide system that is supposed to protect patients,
If you want to see a doctor's disciplinary file, you can't find it. They won't disclose it.
but instead,
There's a tendency to protect those doctors.
it often leaves the sick and vulnerable in the dark. My name is Ashley Korslin, and I'm an investigative reporter at KGW in Portland, Oregon. In the fall of 2022, I was assigned to cover a story involving a well-known local doctor whose patients accused him of sexual abuse. Many of the alleged victims came to him for OBGYN care.
And then Farley just put his ungloved hand inside my vagina, and then I yelled, "Ouch."
Nearly 130 women and girls joined a lawsuit accusing Dr. David Farley of sexually abusing them during exams. Prosecutors investigated and brought 23 of those cases before a grand jury, hoping to criminally charge Dr. Farley. The lawsuit is still pending, but the grand jury declined to indict Farley on criminal charges, meaning they didn't think there was enough evidence to prove the allegations beyond a reasonable doubt. This made me wonder how many doctors had been accused of serious misconduct, yet evaded accountability. That question set in motion a massive research project where our team of journalists reviewed thousands of pages of medical board documents, lawsuits, police reports, and medical records. We interviewed more than 36 patients, lawmakers, and attorneys across Oregon, California, and Washington, and heard firsthand accounts from the people whose lives were forever changed by physician misconduct. We found cases where doctors continued practicing for years after patients first complained about them. Cases like Dr. Mark LaRue, who was charged with second-degree rape 14 years after 3 patients reported that he touched them inappropriately. We found cases like Dr. Christopher Baldwin, who left Oregon after 8 women accused him of sexual misconduct. He now has an active medical license in Arizona, where a state database shows no indication of past investigations. We also analyzed data from the Oregon Medical Board and found that of the 144 doctors disciplined in the state between 2012 and 2022, 28 of them went on to practice medicine in another state. One of them is Dr. Banu Sharma, who moved from state to state following multiple medical board investigations. And Dr. Sharma is still actively practicing, despite being reprimanded for the deaths of 2 patients.
Flight 277, local time.
I tracked down the daughter of one of those 2 women. We traveled to San Francisco to meet her. It was the first time Sonia Rivera had spoken to anyone outside her family about what happened to her mother, Pauletta Cameron.
I didn't know my mom was having surgery.
In 2012, Pauletta opted to get liposuction ahead of a family reunion.
And that's me and my mom.
Had she known, Sonia would have talked her out of it. That's because Pauletta had a history of hypertension, cerebral aneurysms, and potential congestive heart failure. In May of 2012, Dr. Sharma approved Pauletta for liposuction at a Sonobello clinic in Portland. According to medical board records, he didn't order any preoperative diagnostic testing, like an electrocardiogram.
A poor and risky candidate, would you say, overall for surgery? She never should have had the surgery.
This is Dr. Juliana Hansen, Professor and Chief of Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery at Oregon Health and Science University in Portland.
What you're about to see is a fatal crash after Tesla unexpectedly comes to a near stop on a Missouri freeway. Notice traffic whizzing by, when suddenly the car is rear-ended. The phenomenon, known as phantom braking, has been documented in countless videos shared by Tesla owners. Their vehicles suddenly slam the brakes, often on open roadways.
Oh, there we are. That was ridiculous.
Dropping in speed in response to imagined hazards.
You can see my foot. I'm not doing anything. I'm holding the wheel. I'm not doing anything. I'm on the highway. I'm on the highway. You seeing this? I'm on the highway.
For the past few months, I've gone through thousands of federal auto safety complaints, spoken with more than 50 Tesla owners, and even tested the technology myself. What I found? Incidents of phantom braking are more widespread than previously reported because Tesla, along with federal auto safety regulators, haven't done much to warn them about it.
I could have been killed. It was terrifying.
In July, Kathy Kopacek took a road trip from Portland to northern Idaho. Midway through the 8-hour drive, her 2022 Tesla Model Y suddenly slammed on its brakes while in cruise control along an open stretch of interstate.
And I thought, oh my gosh, what happened?
Shaken, Kathy pulled over for a bit. She thought maybe it was a fluke, until the same thing happened a few hours later, again at highway speeds.
I mean, I was 72 miles an hour, and it stopped fast. And everybody behind me was swerving, screeching.
So you came to a dead stop?
About 10 miles an hour. I think I went from 72 down to about 10, where I was barely crawling.
So it's like there was something in front of you and it said stop?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it stopped so fast. It threw me forward.
Tesla owners report these phantom braking incidents are typically triggered by false positives. Something is setting off the car's safety features.
It would be like if I saw something in the road and I stopped as fast as I could. It was that type of stop.
It was like slamming on the brakes?
Slamming on the brakes, right. Because we went forward in our seatbelts.
Steven Sonicson worried that he might trigger a chain reaction when his Tesla Model Y suddenly hit the brakes on an Oregon highway.
It was frightening. You didn't know who was behind you or what was going to happen.
Many Tesla drivers I spoke with explained this phantom braking occurred while using Tesla's autopilot driver assistance system, which includes traffic-aware cruise control. Phantom braking has been a persistent issue for Tesla vehicles. In February 2022, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration launched an investigation into unexpected brake activation in certain 2021 and 2022 Model 3 and Y vehicles. At the time, NHTSA had received 354 complaints according to the agency. 3 months later, that number had jumped to 758. And after going back and looking at more recent data, I found the number of complaints to NHTSA has grown even more. Through September, there were an additional 815 reports of unexpected braking in those same years and models of Tesla vehicles. I also found an additional 272 complaints about the more recent 2023 models, bringing the total number of complaints about phantom braking to roughly 1,800. In short, the problem is more widespread than we knew about, and based on recent complaints, it hasn't been fixed. So, to better understand this technology and what may be triggering phantom braking, I rented a Tesla, specifically a 2022 Model 3. So it'll be curious to see if it's a shadow, if it's a mirage. What is it? I don't know if anything will even happen too. I mean, that's part of the risk.
we don't know if it's going to stop or not.
Our plan was to drive across the state of Oregon, from Portland to the Idaho border, 750 miles round trip. My photographer set up cameras in case something happened. We'd stay on Interstate 84 and try to use Tesla's autopilot, traffic-aware cruise control as much as possible, and only when safe. But after hours and hours of driving for 2 days, nothing really happened. So we were headed back. When... Whoa! That seemed to do something. The car jolted us briefly, suddenly dropping in speed by roughly 20 miles per hour.
There was nothing in front of us. There was no car in front of us. There was nothing on either side of us. The brakes just hit, and then I don't know what triggered it. I mean, people talk about how scary it is. It was alarming. I think that's the best way to describe it. I didn't quite know what was going on, and in that moment, you're not really thinking about what's around you as much as like, what do I do? Because that's not a natural move for a driver, for sure.
Tesla, which shut down its public relations department in 2020.
Oregon is a state that prides itself in its environmental stewardship, but in my opinion, there should be no pride over what's happened in the lower Umatilla Basin. The state's response has been a disgrace.
"160 miles east of Portland, near the Columbia River, huge sprinklers shepherd along the growing season. Water is a precious commodity here. Average rainfall is only 9 inches a year, a fourth of Portland's total. During the growing season, irrigation water, much of it from the Columbia River, is delivered by the moving machines, quenching the thirst of growing crops. It creates perfect green circles on the otherwise tan canvas. This is part of the largest grassland in North America. While it's rare above ground, deep under the soil, there's lots of water. And that's where thousands of people not connected to city water systems get their supply, through private wells. And for most of Oregon's history, that water was safe to drink. But more than 30 years ago, that changed. And today the problem is worse than ever.
Yeah, this well here is 100 feet deep. The static level is 22 feet, and they used to be good, but they're not anymore.
Pat Suter began using his well 35 years ago when he moved into his home here outside the city of Boardman. Back then, he said, the water tested at about 4.5 parts per million with nitrate, a safe level according to the EPA. Nitrates are something you cannot see or taste. It's a chemical found in fertilizers and the waste of animals kept in feedlots and the water from commercial food production. In elevated amounts, it is dangerous in humans. The EPA set a limit of 10 parts per million for all public water systems. Concentrations below that are considered safe, above that, not safe, especially for some groups, including young children and pregnant women. Recently, experts tested Pat's well water again. He said the new reading showed nitrates at 37 parts per million. That's nearly 4 times the danger level.
We quit drinking this water. I quit drinking it about 10 years ago when I got remarried. My wife, they wouldn't drink this water, and it didn't taste right, so we've been on bottled water for 10 years.
And your previous wife died of cancer?
Yeah, she did. She drank about 3 pots of coffee a day for all the time we was here.
And a number of dogs?
And I've lost 16 dogs here with cancer.
You think it's the water?
I do.
The contaminated aquifer lies beneath a huge section of land, 562 square miles covering northern Umatilla and Murrow counties. It includes the towns of Echo, Stanfield, Hermiston, Umatilla, Irigon, and Boardman. As many as 12,000 people could be at risk, according to the government. While you can't see it from above the ground, the fields here have vast pools of water underneath them. That's the aquifer. In the area we're focused on, as many as 4,500 private wells have drilled down through the surface to get water from the aquifer for drinking and cooking, bathing, and more. But over the decades, That pollution in the form of nitrates from farm fertilizer, commercial food production, and large animal operations have seeped down through the ground into the water and now contaminated. It's worse in some areas than others. When people use their wells in the contaminated areas, they pull up water that looks clean but is actually polluted with nitrates. That's bad because nitrates can cause cancer and many other problems. Maria Martinez lives in the danger zone but thought her well water was safe.
I was pregnant, and then for us consuming all the water, the bad water that's here, we're just consuming it. And I was pregnant at the time, and I didn't even know that I was pregnant with my first pregnancy, and I was consuming the water. And then so I miscarried that baby. And then again, I got pregnant again, and then still drinking the water without knowing it was contaminated, another one.
She had 2 miscarriages. She cannot prove they were caused by the water, but she believes they were. She said when she moved into her home 32 years ago, the well testing showed safe levels of nitrates, far below 10 parts per million.
Recently that we got it checked, it was like 45, really sky high.
Wow.
Yeah,
for
very.
nitrates, 45?
Yeah, very high.
And it's not supposed to be above 10.
No.
Our 9-month journey to help Velma leave life on the streets, how her hardships turned into hope.
Tomorrow I get keys to my new apartment. You showed me that there is a path, there is a light.
The story tonight at 6:30 on KGW. This day was particularly hard for her.
I still haven't stopped crying.
She had just moved into a friend's new RV in the Northwest Industrial area.
It didn't leak, it had heating, it had cooling, it had a working stove.
It burned down 1 month later. We were there the day after the fire as she described what happened and sifted through the debris.
Looking for a fire extinguisher, hoping I can save something, just something of our lives.
Velma and her friends moved back into her old RV and found a new parking spot off MLK. This as talks of stricter homeless policies were heating up inside Portland City Hall. Council passed a daytime ban on camping, RVs included. We made sure Velma knew.
I'm terrified of it. If they're going to be banning that, how soon till they ban RVs?
Yeah, so RVs are included in this ban.
Oh boy.
They're telling us to literally just disappear. There's nowhere to disappear to.
The hunt for where to park was on. They went to Northeast 33rd Drive, a street lined with RVs and a deep-rooted homeless community. Velma didn't stay long before moving back to MLK, adding to the growing camps there and frustrations from neighboring business owners.
We keep the doors locked, you saw, every single day. For years, we've never unlocked the doors. I've called 311 a bunch of times just to have it cleaned up.
It never was cleaned up. Velma stayed there through the summer. When she told us, she had big news.
But yeah, this here is little, if it's a boy, I'm gonna name him Cody with a K. And if it's a girl, Angelica. I'm 3 months pregnant as of the 3rd.
That meant she had 6 more months to try and find housing.
If I cannot get into housing to take care of my kid properly, I'm gonna have to give it up. Well, I've said it once, I'll say it again, the system lost me.
Velma, very nice to meet you.
We brought another outreach worker to Velma, this time from Join, a nonprofit that helps homeless people into housing.
So what are your goals? What do you want to...
I just want to get into something that I can take care of my kid in.
There's definitely a place inside that is suitable and will be...
I got 6 months to go.
Yeah. Let me just get your phone number.
Of course.
And then I'm going to call you. She's very, very housing ready. Just needs a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance. Yeah, through the process. Navigation.
3 months later, the day she'd been waiting for finally arrived.
Tomorrow I get keys to my new apartment. When I first met you, I was in the mindset, I'm gonna be just another drug addict, always homeless, never able to do anything. I'm gonna have to go into drugs in order to deal with the mental consequences of it. And then you showed me that there is a path, there is a light. Sorry about the mess again. It's still move-in time, so I'm waiting on getting a garbage can and things like that. Yeah. There's washer and dryer in unit. Like, look at this. I have done like 15, 20 loads through it already. It is so nice.
And it keeps getting better.
There is a fully fenced-in backyard.
1 year's rent is covered thanks to a family grant.
This one here is going to be the baby's bedroom.
After that, Velma will pay about $400 a month. And while working with Join, she cleared her warrant in court and pled guilty to the resisting arrest charge.
The first time I walked in with the key, I was like, this is actually mine. I can set the rules.
As opposed to life in her RV.
I can't even go in the RV no more. It's the energies, they're different. It's just a dirtier, grungier, harder thing.
What do you feel when you're here?
Alive. Like I can thrive now instead of just survive.
But she's not leaving everything from life on the streets.
The determination to thrive, even in that hardship.
A hardship turned into hope.
It's no longer my home. This is home.
When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown.
There's just needles everywhere.
When you've got worries, all the noise and the hurry seems to help, I know.
People are running out of money replacing the windows, they're running out of patience.
It is a complex problem.
Downtown, just listen to the music, not the traffic in the city. Linger on the sidewalk where the neon signs are pretty.
Right there on our awning, I'm not sure how to clean that off yet.
You can't forget all your troubles, forget all your cares.
Let's see, it's not even 2 o'clock. We've probably written 40 citations for just open air drug use.
Things will be great when you're downtown.
We're hurting, and we see that nobody care about us.
At some point, everybody just gets fed up.
So go downtown, everything's waiting for you.
I like to walk, but walking in downtown Portland looks different these days. Some of the streets seem deserted. Some have boarded up shops. That was Louis Vuitton. I'm not sure what that was.
This used to be a stationery store. It had beautiful pane glass windows there. Those got broken out more than once, I think.
It'll come back. I truly believe that it is on the up.
So it feels like downtown is a real mix right now. It's nothing like it was before the pandemics and riots. There are still plenty of disturbing scenes. But there are other areas too, other blocks that feel pretty safe and normal. I think the city's on the verge of getting better. I hope it continues.
Every now and then we get questions from longtime viewers wanting to know, are you ever going back to your studio on the square at Pioneer Courthouse Square? We used to broadcast live from our studio at the square every day, right up until the pandemic. Well, tonight we're back. I'm Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. Now, no, we're not back inside the studio, but yes, we are on the bricks because we thought this would be the perfect place to bring you an entire show about the state of downtown Portland. You know, downtown is one of the hottest topics that we get on this show. Anytime we mention it, you flood our emails and our voicemails with your thoughts, your comments, your concerns, and we love this.
Right now, we are constantly hit with messages that our lives should be filled with family, love, and laughter. For many of us, the holidays can also bring up feelings of anxiety, sadness, even loneliness. You're not alone. I found a path forward by creating new traditions, purpose by helping others, and peace by giving myself permission to step away. It can be scary to talk about it, but trust me, it's worth it.
So tonight, we're going to show you how you can get involved in Salem from your own home. From simply watching committee meetings to actually testifying live yourself on a bill or issue that you care deeply about. We'll start by heading to the legislature website, www.oregonlegislature.gov. From the main page, look along the middle left of the screen for the link that says Watch Meetings, and click on that. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a header that says Live Events.
And if watching videos aren't your thing, they have a written step-by-step process lower down on this page. And the same goes for the process if you're hoping to testify in person or remotely during a meeting. From the home page, under the Make Your Voice Heard tab, click Testify. The legislature has not made a video for this part, but they do have step-by-step directions on this page, but we'll take a minute to walk you through it.
This is Kelly Harris, an Oregon mom who lost her daughter to domestic violence and then suicide.
I first heard about testifying in the Oregon legislature on KGW, the story, and they said, come and testify, tell your daughter's story.
If strangulation kits had been available at the time of my daughter's assault, they could have made all the difference for Kelsey. I urge you to pass HB 2676.
Her powerful testimony could go a long way in helping others.
Westward expansion drove thousands here to the Oregon Territory in the mid-1800s, including right here in what was Genniopolis. One of the men that wanted his 320-acre land claim and another 320 for his wife was a man named Nimrod O'Kelly.
Nimrod O'Kelly comes along. He has been planning this basically all his life.
O'Kelly came to Oregon in 1846 at the age of 65 and settled in Genniopolis. Under the Organic Act passed in 1843, O'Kelly staked his claim of the 640 acres he thought he was entitled to. As more settlers moved to the area and staked their claims, 3 sides of O'Kelly's land were being encroached upon. One of those settlers is Jeremiah Mahoney. It was on May 22, 1852, that O'Kelly's frustration with Mahoney came to a boiling point.
Jeremiah Mahoney was on Nimrod O'Kelly's property. Nimrod approaches him. He has a rifle in his hand.
Nimrod O'Kelly claims Jeremiah Mahoney threatened him with a thresher tool, and that's when Nimrod shot and killed him.
Do I look as awkward as I feel?
Nah, you're looking great.
I think he's awkward looking.
Hanging 2 feet off the ground, not so bad. 100 feet up, you'll probably feel some feelings once you look down.
So we are going to practice ascending up the rope. So if you notice, this is taut, so that means there's tension on this line. And we go push and up, push and up, push.
Megan Bonham is one of the guides on staff. She and I both can't believe we get to do this for work.
It can be a very humbling experience. And I just, for me personally, every time I'm out in nature, I feel connected to the whole world, just like how the trees are connected out into the other areas of the forest.
So the higher we get, it's harder to do justice just how high up in this tree we are. And honestly, I didn't want to go much further. I kind of tapped out at my comfort level. But when Leo and Megan pointed out the anchor point, I said, let's do it.
Along the Oregon coast, what sparkles on the sand one minute is washed away the next. Like the outgoing tide, time
69 years, 7 months, and a few days.
slips away here. A place where many family secrets
No one would talk about it.
have vanished with the tide. Like a 15-year-old girl, pregnant and unmarried in 1953.
The family was shamed if anything like that was to happen.
But on this day in Newport,
I love you, Mom.
the tide
So here I am.
has returned.
It's been a while coming.
85-year-old Betty Lorsung is about to meet her oldest son.
You're fine.
For the first time.
You're fine.
My mother.
For Jeffrey Taylor,
69 years I've been away. I'm a boomerang.
Go for it.
it's a snapshot from a lifelong journey.
So happy.
First time I was told I was adopted was about 3 years old.
Back to the birth mom
Oh, yes.
I'm just waiting for the biggest hug there ever were.
who wasn't allowed to keep him.
69 years worth of hugs wrapped into one.
I'm so happy. This is the greatest day of my life.
A doorway to the past
Yes.
Oh, yes. I'm so ready.
and the future.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh no. I'm home.
You're home. I'm so happy.
I made it.
I'm so happy.
Best day of my life.
I made it.
All
You found me.
It's a far cry from the day Betty's parents learned she was pregnant with Jeffrey.
Oh my God.
They lived in Coos Bay and were terrified of anyone finding out. They tried to hide the pregnancy, even from Betty's brother.
All of a sudden, my sister Betty was gone. They said, "Where'd she go?" They said, "She went to live with your aunt in Portland. She has rheumatic fever."
She had Jeffrey.
Yep.
The hospital staff would not let her hold him.
You were such a little baby. I got to see you in the hospital through the window, but I had to beg and beg to do that.
Kids are simple, and they just want to be loved. They just want to matter. They want to be seen. What a simple way to say yes to all that.
And I know like a lot of the kids that we serve don't feel that way.
Everybody gets a toy today!
My hope for this year's toy drive is that it's bigger than ever. We want to be loud and we want to show the community and our kids and families that we're willing to stand up for them. And this is a very simple, tangible way for us to do that.
It gives me chills just thinking about it. Like, that's what it's all about. That's what Christmas and giving back in our community and coming together and supporting our younger generation is just so important. And I'd just say give as much as you can. Like, it's gonna make a huge impact.
And then you become a part of something bigger than yourself, right? You're a part of a community that cares.
Thank you to KGW. Thank you to the thousands of people that take the time to go pick a gift and give it to a child they don't know. How do you say thank you for that? You know, I get a little emotional about it. The KGW Great Toy Drive makes dreams come true.
Every year, we ask you to help local kids by donating school supplies, and this year, you came through again. For that, we say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for making the KGW School Supply Drive an incredible success.
Thank you.
Thank you for making a difference in the lives of tens of thousands of students.
Thank you.
Thank you for caring about our community.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, local kids have the tools they need to succeed in the classroom.